maybe.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Comics for All. Today is February 3rd, 2026. Sorry, Rik is one of our other guests joining us here just a minute. So thanks for joining us here on Comics for All. Today is February 3rd, 2026, a Tuesday.
Hi, how you doing?
Doing good, Rik. So today for our Ink and Insight segment, we have Eric and Rik from G-Man Comics coming to talk about their creative process and their current Kickstarter, which we'll have plenty of time to delve into. So the first question we like to ask everybody, and you guys can answer this separately or together, but what got you into comics as a reader?
Rik, go ahead.
Well, my father was an avid comic reader when he was a kid, and his mother used to throw them away when he'd get bad grades. So when I was little, he would buy them for me and read them to me as bedtime stories. That way he could read the comics again, and he didn't have to have the stigma that you'd have in the 70s of being an adult reading comics. And it's been a lifelong hobby for me since I was a child.
Very cool. My story is somewhat similar. My parents started me getting comic books when I was learning how to read. And they thought that the comic books would encourage me to read more, which they did.
I mean, I think it's a great entry point for a lot of people just to get themselves reading. Kind of a follow-up question more on the creative side of things is, when did you both realize in your life, either as a kid or as an adult, that you actually wanted to create and be part of the comics community?
Mine was probably...
In junior high, I spent the summer writing a comic script. And
go ahead, Rik.
I'm still lagging here. Okay, in junior high, in the summer, I wrote a comic script, and I mailed that in to DC Comics, and was hoping to be hired as a child prodigy like Jim Shooter. They sent me a nice rejection letter instead. So then I immediately went to write another story for Marvel, for which I was also rejected. I have 2 rejection letters. When I was a comic shop owner in my 20s, I had wrote Lynx, which is one of the characters that we publish now. And one of the artists, one of the kids who was shopping at the comic shop was an artist. And he drew the pages, and we would photocopy them and put them in people's pull list. And the goal was that eventually we'd collect that into a comic and we'd publish it ourselves.
Right.
And so I've been working on it for a long time before we got here.
Eric, go ahead.
Mine was actually fairly recent. Like after the year 2000 or so. Pardon me. I had been content, just like a lot of the characters that I had created with friends of mine back when we played the old Marvel role-playing game, back when we were teenagers. And I kept all of that stuff. And I was content just to mainly commission artists to draw pictures, and I would make like mock covers of them. Like, here's an imaginary issue of Steel Wolf.
Right.
Or something like that. And I would write the solicit and all that stuff. And that's all the further I ever really wanted to go. But people kept saying, I want to read these. Can you really read write those? So it sort of pushed me into actually doing it. And here I am.
Perfect. Oh, looks like we lost Rik, but that's okay. So Eric, another kind of reader-centric question. What's something that you've read in the last year? It didn't have to come out in the last year necessarily, but something you've read that's kind of stuck with you. It can be major, Marvel, DC, indie, whatever you feel like.
Al Ewing's Immortal Thor.
Oh, so
It's
good.
just a joy to read every month.
Have you followed up to read the Mortal Thor yet?
I have not. See, I don't buy the floppies anymore. I wait for the trades to come out.
Same.
So I haven't reached the Mortal Thor yet. I have it pre-ordered, but we'll get there.
Excellent. I actually just finished that volume 5 a couple days ago, so I think you're really going to enjoy it, especially if you've read the other parts of the series.
I have. It's been amazing.
Yes. And I think Al Ewing is a really underappreciated writer. I know he gets a lot of kind of fanfare because he works for Marvel, but I think his storytelling is very underappreciated.
I agree.
See if Rik is rejoining us and he's got a decent connection or not. He's having technical difficulties. Are you with us, Rik?
Back. Yeah, I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
So the question we're at right now is, what is a comic that you've read in the last year? It can be major or indie that's really stuck with you.
Well, it's interesting. I like a variety of different things, but I'm having a lot of fun reading the Youngblood comic that's coming out again now because I enjoyed it so much in the 90s. And it's playing all these little beats that I remember. And the nice thing about comics in the 90s was everything was new. Everywhere you looked, they were creating new characters, and it was fresh and it was exciting and a lot of new things going on. Here, it's not so new. A long, long time. And so it's nice to see them again and revisit old friends. And that part has been real fun for me. And he wasn't doing it before when they do revivals. So that part's got some fun and energy too. It all depends on what you're feeling. I love Batman. I've been reading X-Men when they're wonderful and when they're not as wonderful. It has hills and valleys.
Right.
My favorite run was obviously the Chris Claremont run with all the different writers he worked with. But I still read them to this day. But I read mostly mainstream comics. I read a lot of indie comics too, but the indie comics don't come out every single week, or every month. But I love indie comics. I love what they do over at Argo, but I love a lot of the stuff that goes on. I try and be real active. Blue Moon does some really cool stuff too. Right now we're doing some stuff. Paige over at Page One Comics thought that it would be a good idea if the indie comics did the Invictus cover month, like Image is doing.
I saw that.
And so now we're doing that. And so that part's fun. And it's just fun to be active in the comic community. It's fun to support each other. We're all in this together. If you took all of us, everyone producing an indie comic, everyone doing a Kickstarter who isn't Rob Liefeld or Brian Polito, and you put us all together, we would not. So anyone who thinks we're in competition is sadly mistaken. We're not in competition with each other. The pie is so large and we are so small that we can support each other and lift each other up. And that's really what it's all about. We're not competing with one another. And at G-Man, Eric and I spend a lot of time collaborating with other people. Since Enrique joined us and has been doing Sergeant Flag, it's a team book. Every issue has been a team up with someone. He started with the team up with Tomorrow Girl, and we're just rolling with that. With the current one in the Kickstarter now, we're doing the San Diego Comic Con as the San Diego Superhero Con. And Eric came up with the logo for us. And 29 of my friends have indie comics that their characters are going to appear, and they lent it to us. And they're going to be there. So we're going to do, you write what you know. So Sergeant Flag's going to the San Diego Superhero Con because they're superheroes. They're the ones who putting it on. They're the ones at the booth. He's doing a panel. And then, chaos ensues. We do the whole Blazing Saddles thing where they break through the wall and end up on the showroom floor, which is where you see all the cameos of all the different characters. And the battle rolls across the floor until we do that. There was a jerk at the Comic-Con who tried to keep us from picking up our passes, was generally rude, and appreciated the control he had. So we recreated that experience in the comic as well. Yeah, no,
Love that.
just plan to life. Over
It's a
at
really
Links,
fun issue.
two of my buddies are in the comic. Yeah, in Links, TJ and Tim are two of my buddies, and they're the supporting cast. You know, someone has to be Jimmy Olsen, and that's them. So we get to have fun with that. In Eric's book, he drew me, and he and I are drawn into the comic. Gilbert drew all of us into Agent Kirby, unbeknownst to us. We didn't know it was going to happen, as well as his whole family.
Yep.
Wow.
And so it's really, we're just trying to have fun. We're never going to be rich doing this. That's not the direction this goes. So we might as well have the best time we possibly can. And we're
That's
having a
right.
blast.
And then for the viewers out there who are new to both of your work, how would you introduce both yourselves as a creator in the comics community? How do you introduce yourselves?
Go ahead, Rick.
Well, I've been in comics my whole life. I was a retailer. I worked at Archie for a decade. I was an Eisner judge with you.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing Comic Con for 30 years. And I've written, I've sold, I've promoted, anything you can really do with a comic I've done. I guess I haven't printed, but for the most part, I've done everything with it. For the comics I write, we're all in a big shared universe, and the basic idea is that what if the superheroes were actually, first responders? What if
Right.
the superheroes worked for the FBI, were forced into service, they registered, they were FBI agents? You see them go out to coffee together in the morning before work.
Oh no, we lost Rick
Oh,
again.
we lost him. Oh. But yeah, Rick's right. Within the G-Man universe, a lot of the heroes, they at least need to establish credentials with the government,
Mm-hmm.
typically with the FBI. And there's a clause within the contract that says, okay, you don't have to work with us, but we have to be aware of what you're doing. And if there's an emergency, we reserve the right to call you. So, basically it's like they need to, like a chain of responsibility. Somebody needs to be accountable. And in this case, it's the FBI and the Caped Agent program, of which Agent Kirby is the head.
Got it. So my kind of follow-up to that is, you guys have kind of partially answered it, but how would you say that, what is G-Man Comics in your own words, and what kind of separates it from the superhero universe such as Marvel and DC? How does it separate itself?
I'd be lying if we said we didn't take a lot of inspiration from the books that we read as kids.
Right.
We
Bronze Age,
we
a
have
lot
a
of
shared
Platinum
universe,
Age.
much like a lot of other people do. But
Go ahead, Rick. If he's there.
He
Are you
is
there?
having a heck of a time.
hey, I'm sorry, my internet's giving me a lot of trouble. I don't know why. Sorry about that. But yeah,
Oh, wow.
There he goes again.
There he goes again. We do have a big shared universe. Half the fun of being together is playing with each other's toys.
Right.
And that's strictly as much as you want to. We're under no obligation to use each other. We're not in any obligation to really have a tight-knit sort of continuity, I guess, between the books. We try to keep things as tight as we can, but sometimes the books run at different speeds.
Mhm.
Like I tend to do a little bit longer story arc. Rik is really fun and really good at like it done in one. So his books move faster than mine does. But we try to basically, you know, the Agent and Sergeant Flag have appeared in Tyrannus and the First Guard, and Tyrannus and the First Guard have been in the Agent. You know, it just everybody's, we're all playing with each other. So
Absolutely.
We really want that Marvel feel that they had when I was a kid. It wasn't, they hadn't come up with Crisis on Infinite Earths or Secret Wars yet. So
Uh-huh.
in the random issue of Spider-Man, Daredevil just shows up. You know, the Hulk shows up and fights the Thing. They all lived in Manhattan and they all bumped into each other all the time. And you
Yep.
didn't need this big grandiose thing where you had to buy 12 issues. So one of the things that we try and do is we try and show up in each other's comics. We try and interact with each other to give to give us a sense of family and a sense of community. We created locations so that we have Seabucks, which is the coffee shop, and my guys will go to the coffee shop and hang out there. We have a Club Baby Seals, which is a Bobcat Goldthwait joke, but it's a place like a cop bar for superheroes. So they can go there, they can sit in the table and drink, they can go dance. We have McTasties where they go to get fast food. We're
Right.
trying to build a community in our area so that there are places where they can stop by and the themes carry over, that they're in the same location, and even if they're not there together the next time. And we're just trying to put this together as a nice shared universe, so you get that feeling that you used to get. If you saw Yancey Street in any Marvel comic, you thought of the Fantastic Four, and you didn't need a full Fantastic Four guest appearance.
Right.
You just got the feeling that they were all there together.
Yep.
And we also do a lot with crossing over with other people's characters in all the books. Eric has people in his book from all sorts of different publishers. I've had a fair share of them, but probably not as many as Eric's put together.
Yeah, I've been really lucky to make some really good friends across the industry, and I've been fortunate that they've been let me
Radar.
use their characters and stuff, and I've tried to do them justice as much as I can.
So now we can actually dive into what the crossover crisis is, which is the name of the Kickstarter you guys are working on. So which core characters are at the heart of this crossover, and how do their worlds collide?
Well, the crossover is actually separate in each book. They're kind of different.
Excellent.
In Agent Kirby, I'd originally wrote that story as a line-wide crossover that I had thought of originally, and then I realized that's not really going to work, because later people will want the single issues and aren't going to want to go back and get the missing issues, and so then I brought the focus down a little. But then when you get to Sergeant Flag, I got 29 people crossing over into the book, as they're all making cameo appearances during the fight. And then in Lynx, we have, because they're a feline duo, I've got the original Catman and Kitten crossing over into their story. So we have crossovers in all the books. They're just not between the books. So you can buy one, you don't have to buy them all, and you can still enjoy the individual stories. And who's crossing over in your books, Eric?
Yeah, in the First Guard, it is the modern era team encounters their predecessors from the 1960s. And those characters are based on some other characters, which I'm sure once you see them, you'll figure out who they're supposed to be. And then in the latest issue of Tyrannus, another creator named Andrew Rowland, he created an absolutely fantastic group of villains, and he lent them to me for this issue, and we have a big knockdown, drag out fight between my character and his, and we have all kinds of fun.
Love that.
And Gilbert Monsanto, his books, he does Global G-Men,
right.
And his is like the First Guard, is taking sort of a wider view of the world. And he's got some great characters. Like the first couple issues, all kinds of characters from across the indie comics, and he's just bringing that forward with each issue more and more.
Love that.
We've
So
got the
for-
Flying Dutchman in this current issue.
Absolutely. So in
And,
terms of like a
and then
superhero,
the way I met Gilbert,
go ahead, Rick.
the way I met Gilbert was that Eric told me I had to meet Gilbert and join Gilbert Monsanto's arena. And so I met Gilbert there, and he drew he drew a copy of my character, and then I entered the battle in the arena, and eventually I won, and there's a mock cover as the prize. And so for that, with all those characters, Gilbert's doing a book for that as well, which will have a million different indie characters from a million different creators.
Yep.
Love that. So for someone new to the G-Man Comics world, can they jump in on this crossover crisis, or do they need to have read any of earlier material?
My goal is that every issue is a standalone issue, because every issue is someone's first issue.
Right.
So so I do some stories that are 20 pages in a full comic, and then I'll do some anthologies where they're even shorter. We're doing a book called Macho Comics, which is a high octane comic, lots of violence and lots of fun. And there are 3 stories in there in 20 pages. And so, I think that if they buy this issue and they're new, they should be able to have that whole experience. And if they want more, we offer the back issues in each Kickstarter from the previous Kickstarters.
Right.
So they can come back if they like what they bought, they can then come back and buy the issues they're missing. But if they don't end up with a comic where they can't enjoy it.
Love that. And I've also put in the Kickstarter as a comment in the chat for everyone out there if they want to go check it out. And we got a couple comments from Raymond McKay. He says, "Hey, Rick, Eric, and Jameson. Just saw this is live. This is fun. I literally just finished proofing another great G-Man comic."
Yep. Ray is one of our editors. So,
Excellent.
Yep. So we are finishing books for the ongoing Kickstarter, Fast and Furious. We just finished our 3rd book within the span of a couple weeks today. So that's what the editors are currently chewing on.
Perfect.
Yeah. The only thing that's left is we have 3 pages to draw with the backer characters in Agent Kirby, and 1 page to color, and then that book is done. The Sergeant Flag was done a while ago, and we even made an ashcan to look at it and make ideas with that. Lynx is done. Macho Comics is done. First Guard's done. Tyrannus is done. And then Gilbert is still coloring his, and the Arena book was something he'd already done. So, and he's still coloring Global G-Men. Haiti Meets Dara is done. So we're not, when you back our Kickstarter, you're going to get the comics. You're not going to have to, your longest wait is for them to print, package, and ship the comics. It's not for us to finish them. The last bits of coloring we need to do will happen during the campaign.
Yep. 9 times out of 10, these books are completely done and ready to roll by the end of the campaign. So we try not to mess around.
That's excellent news for readers out there. So now is the time we actually get to finally delve into the Kickstarter itself, the crossover crisis. So I'm going to pull up the Kickstarter page here in just a second, but what are the kind of the core pledge levels, or is there any rewards or anything you wanted to highlight, Rick or Eric, as I pull it up?
Well, we started $5 for a PDF, and and so for $5 you can get any of the PDFs. You can get any of the current issues or any of the back issues. For $10 you can get a comic.
Yep.
We typically never charge more no matter who the artist is. We don't have different levels for different covers. You get to pick what you want. There were only two that we actually charged more for, and one was a Rob Liefeld cover, and the other
Yep.
was a Marat Michaels cover. But other than that, you know, if we've got a more expensive artist, that's on us.
Yeah, there's
You
the
know,
Rob
if we've
Liefeld
got,
cover, which is striking.
well, thank you. Yeah, and so we try. We're in the comic publishing business. We are trying to put out the comic. If you go to you know, your comic shop and you pick up a copy, you know, the alternate cover for Batman, you know, unless it's the real Chase variant, they're all the same price. You just have your different choices, and we're trying to give people that experience. We're
Right.
trying to let them pick the cover they want without trying to say, oh, well, if you like this one a little better than that one, we're going to gouge you. I'm sure that's not how everyone feels about it, but that's kind of how I feel about it. Also, we're not in the tchotchke business. We don't make lunch boxes. We don't make stickers. We don't make bookmarks. I've backed a million campaigns. One of the coolest things I got was a challenge coin. I thought, this is so cool. I really need to make one of these. But I realized that really where we need to put our money, our time, and our effort is making the next comics. You know, because we have two Kickstarters a year. We have one that launches February 1st, and we have one that launches August 1st. So what are we doing with our time, effort, and money? We're working on the next Kickstarter. You may think that you know, this is the Kickstarter and this is going now, so we can go August 1st. They're already drawing the August 1st comics. They're in
Right.
full production. We also have started with the February 1st, 2027 first title in production. We're halfway done with the first comic there. We have some teams that we would like to have dedicated forever on our books. Things don't always work that way in comics, but the idea is that the same teams will keep rolling over again and again and again with the same books, producing the same quality, and people will know what they're going to get.
That's right.
And so when they're done with one, we'd like them to start on the next as close as possible. Sometimes we have to, you know, we have to hold up on some funding from the Kickstarter. So they're chomping, they have the script in hand and they're chomping at the bit, waiting for the funds to come from this Kickstarter to start the next one. And other people are already starting. They said, well, we get paid when we get paid and we'll start now. You know, everyone's different. But we're full speed ahead. We're planning on being in business again in 6 months. We're planning on being in business next year. Each Kickstarter is a chance not to do that. If our Kickstarter fell flat and we didn't get funded, there would be no money to pay the artist for the next Kickstarter. There'd be no money to pay the artists ahead, and we would grind to a halt. So we really need everyone's help and support. You know, we need people to show up and appreciate what we do. We're hoping that, you know, what we do resonates with people. And so that's where we're at. And that's what we're trying to accomplish.
Yep. And regarding all the sort of special covers we have by people like Rob Liefeld and Marat Michaels, we Ron Friend's cover for Tyrannus. You know, they're amazing and we love them, but we also don't want to discount our normal art teams who also produce covers for us.
Right.
Those are just gorgeous pieces on their own as well. So you're really, when you look at all the covers and the books that we make, there's really not a bad choice.
No, there really isn't. And you guys kind of delved into my next question a little bit, but you've built a solid line with more than 50 issues at this point in about a 6-year span. How has that experience shaped how you structure your, kind of like you said, your ongoing Kickstarter? Do you know you're going to at least do 2 per year? Is there more things that you've learned over time that you're continuing to accumulate and build upon for each successive Kickstarter?
We have gotten a little out of control sometimes, and we've tried.
Well, I'd like to think we get
rein
better
it
and
back
better. We've done 11 comics, and that was a little too much. We've done as few as 2. But basically, our budget is kind of based on the success of the Kickstarter, where we can go next time. So the better we do this time, the better we end up doing next time. At the end of this Kickstarter, we will have published 91 comics. And at the end of the year, for the second Kickstarter in August, we plan on hitting 100 comics.
Wow.
So please back us so we can get to 100. We have a comic titled 100 for that. So
Yes.
we need to get there to actually publish that.
Yeah, absolutely. Are there any fun or unusual tiers in this particular campaign? Cameo appearances, getting a character drawn into the book, original art, anything along those lines?
We have a tier called Join the G-Men.
Nope.
It took me 30 years from the time I put together links till the time I published it. And so, we published Agent Kirby. So for 6 backers, they can pledge to join the G-Men. Their characters will be drawn into the comic. So we have 3 pages where we will draw in the backer characters. The rest of the comic's complete. And they will join the team. Then we put out a handbook, and they'll be drawn into the handbook. And then Eric does these Who's Who style. So it has all the information about their character for them to use wherever they go with it.
Right.
Whatever they do, whatever they publish, they'll own that.
Yep, they take that with them. They can use it as reference. If somebody asks about their character, there you go.
Love that.
And it's a labor of love for Eric. I mean, he does all the heavy lifting on the handbook.
They're fun. I like to do them. That's how I started out doing comics, is profile books.
Mm-hmm.
I was part of a Transformers community and did a bunch for that. Part of the DeviantArt. Exactly.
Yep.
Part of the DeviantArt community, and I did 4 issues of handbooks for that, well over 280 characters.
Wow.
And then all the characters we've done for this, coupled with handbooks that I've made for my own guys on my own. So.
And what format do the handbooks come in physical form? Is it just like a trade paperback, or?
No, it's a single issue.
Oh, it's a single issue. Awesome.
Yep. Single issue, 20 pages. Each character is a single page entry. So it's 20 characters per book.
Man, it sounds like
it
sounds like we need to make an omnibus of all these characters.
We could.
Well, at one point we tried putting all. Yeah. At one point, we put all of our characters in with all the new characters, and then we put all the backer characters in a separate comic.
Mm-hmm.
But it just, because the people who've backed us before don't really want the rerun of the same page they already have over and over and over again.
Right.
So it didn't seem like that was the way to go. So each issue is separate, and at least that's how we went. Initially, Jim was doing all our production, and we started this whole thing off in the Shield G-Man Club on Facebook. Mm-hmm. And I think there were only 8 pages or 12 pages the first time.
Yes.
And we all put in one character, and not even all of them made it into our comics when we did our comics. But that was the first thing we published. And because it was the Facebook Shield G-Man Club, the comics were called G-Man Comics in honor of that, in honor of the Facebook group. So then when we started actually publishing comics, we used the same name, which works out well with the whole FBI tie-in, because G-Man is a gangster, G standing for government. In our case, it might as well stand for Gilbert Monsanto.
Yes, that's the truth.
That's fair. So kind of going forward with, future plans for G-Man Comics, you recently announced a partnership with Filbo Publishing. So Phil, I know he's out there. What does that support look like, in supporting G-Man Comics and the future of the line?
What we wanted to have different platforms for different people to find us at different points. We put out 100 comics approximately, and that gives us a decent back issue catalog. So over on Indie Planet, we've put together some trade paperbacks, and through Filbo distribution, with both Filbo and with Advent, we've put our comics into comic shops. So so far, and with the comic shops, it's a little different than the Kickstarter. The Kickstarter has the shiny paper that's all magazine, that you normally see from Kickstarter and Kablam. And then the comic shop one will look like the comic shop comics. It'll be the flatter newsprint. And those are the comics that we'd already published in our Kickstarter. So the first one is going to be the first 4 issues of Simon and Kirby the Agent, and we're rebranding that Simon and Kirby and the G-Men, because we're not G-Man Comics now, and we want to emphasize that it's a team book and it's with the G-Men. So it's same logo, little different titling. In the catalog now, we've already released the first 2 issues of Sergeant Flag, because we're going to do 4 issues and then pivot to another 4 issues and then pivot to another 4 issues. And so with the Rob Liefeld cover, Gilbert recolored it for us so that the newsstand version will be unique. Same with the Marat Michaels cover. He recolored that as well, so that'll be unique. And as soon as we're done with 4 issues of Sergeant Flag, we go into 4 issues of Tyrannus.
Excellent.
And Tyrannus is one story in the first 4 issues.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah, it's a
I was gonna say,
4-part.
Eric, you're on the Tyrannus title. What is there anything you want to share about Tyrannus and kind of what readers should expect?
I'm not real good at talking myself up. It's just me. I've been a lifelong fan of Thor. Like literally, Thor was the first comic book I read.
Same.
I've been reading Thor it's literally before I could read. And so I'm just trying to do a Thunder God book that I think is fun, that I would enjoy to read. I'm not going to claim that I'm reinventing the wheel or anything, but I just hope that it's fun and people enjoy it.
Absolutely. And Rik, you partially
and the
answered
thing
this.
is that
Oh, go ahead.
we only produce 2 copies of each title each year. We have 2 Kickstarters. So in 2026, we'll produce 2 issues of Agent Kirby, 2 issues of Tyrannus. So to do 4 issues in a comic shop, we do have to do a rotation with the comics we have, because it's never going to be the current comics. It's not going to be, oh, if you don't get our Kickstarter, this will be available in the comic shop. It's, oh, if you didn't get our Kickstarter 6 years ago, this is in the comic shop now. You know what I mean? And you get one shot at it in the comic shop, because comic shops are one and done. I mean, people will. I already see them selling on eBay, so they do keep existing after that. But it's a different experience.
That's right. So for the viewers out there, how do both of you engage with readers of the comics out there? Is it mostly online communications? Have you met some fans and readers at like in-person conventions? Kind of what's your experience been with reader feedback?
For me personally, not that much.
We've tried to foster like a letter column or things like that, and there isn't really a lot of demand for that. I struggled with that with, I think, the first 2 issues of Agent Kirby, and you can't print half a letter page, so you really have to get enough feedback to make that work. And so we're not real strong with that. We wish we were stronger with that, but we get a lot of interaction. We've got a lot of fans on our Facebook page. We get traffic on our website, and people keep coming back for the Kickstarter, so people seem to like it. I do 2 comic conventions a year. I do WonderCon in Anaheim, which is in my backyard, and so that'll be coming up in March. And then in July, I'll do San Diego Comic-Con, obviously in San Diego. And those are the 2 conventions I really do each year. I mean, I may show up at a random convention here or there, but for the most part, I work on the weekends too. And so it has to be a plan to go to a comic convention. It doesn't just say, well, it's Saturday, let's go.
Right.
Or it's Sunday, let's go. It kind of, the stars kind of have to align. And so, there are several conventions around me, but I don't make it to most of them.
So if you can't, at least what you can share, are there any hints or information you can share about the upcoming Kickstarter in August and kind of the projects between now and then?
Well, we really are just trying to push forward all the information about this current Kickstarter. We don't want people to say, "Well, I'll wait 6 months." Yeah,
Right.
because we want to get those surprises to hit when we do that Kickstarter. I mean, the only thing that's really, a big push for that is that we'll hit our 100th issue, and we want to celebrate that with the fans. And
course.
so we'll do something special for that, and we'll take a bath on that one. It's just in general, we're just out trying to have fun. I figure if I have a good time and if I write stories I like, and if Eric's having a good time and he's writing stories he likes, we'll find like-minded people who like what we like. I
Absolutely.
like a little bit of humor, but I don't like slapstick. I like it to be naturally occurring humor. You like to kind of, be a little snarky to your friends, especially at the right moment. And so I like to write that into the comic where the characters have a little bit of snarkiness to them, a little bit of an edge, a little zinger here and there between the characters. But I don't, I mean, they're not slipping on a banana peel. I like this. I like the Bronze Age. So, we have Tina the Tiny Tick, which is kind of Mr. Worm thing
Right.
in Sergeant Flag, and she does some mind control, and so that part is just like Mr. Worm or Mr. Mind, and so I think that's kind of fun, and we play it serious, even though on its face it's ridiculous.
Well, with that mindset of trying to have a lot of fun in the creation process, does that also, in the sense, does that kind of limit creative setbacks like writers or artist block in the sense that you have less of that because you have more freedom to kind of be playful and mindful and playful with the tone? Does that make sense?
We can we can do whatever we want. It's our company.
Right.
No one's gonna tell Eric you can't do this. No one's gonna tell me I can't do that. I mean, we were talking about this. I think it was last week. If I got the job working at DC or Marvel, and they put me on my favorite character since I was a child, the editor would tell me what I had to write. Then they would
Yes.
critique the way I wrote it. Then they'd tell me I was doing a good job or a bad job. And Mark Waid gets fired from one job and has to pitch for another, even though he's probably one of the most long-lived writers in comics writing today.
Yeah.
There are times where he's writing Shazam and they cancel the book. He's writing Kazar and they cancel the book. They get a new editor. They want to go in a different direction. So no one tells me that. No one tells Eric that. No one tells us we can't tell the stories we want. No one tells us we can't tell the stories the way we want to do it. And so, I mean, and we work with the same artists over and over and over again. So our artists love the characters. We love the artists. The artists love us. It's all fun, and it's all a good time. And I mean, if you worked at Marvel, you have to put out a page a day if you're an artist. There's no way around it. In 30 days, they're printing another comic. So every 30 days, there have to be 30 pages.
Right.
We put out 2 comics a year. You got to do 20 pages in 26 weeks. That's about a page a week, a little less. And if you can't do that, and we have someone who can't, if it takes you 2 weeks to do 1 page, that's when you work on an anthology book.
Yes.
Where it's 12 pages or it's 8 pages. And it's not that we don't love the work as much, but I mean, all of us have day jobs. None of us are doing so well with these comics that we get to quit our day job and lounge around at home while we're waiting to write the next book.
Right.
We're all doing this in between work. And so, it's we better be having a good time. Otherwise, what are we doing with our lives?
That's right. So where can viewers out there find both of you online?
I'm primarily on Facebook. There is an Instagram page that's connected to it. There is a X account, but where they'll actually find me is on Facebook, and they can interact with me, and I'm there every day. And so, not all day every day, but I'm there every day. So you can leave a message. You can look at what we're doing. We have a dedicated G-Man comic Facebook page,
Mm-hmm.
and so you can see what we're doing there. And we post art. Eric had and I had talked about doing a Creator of the Month thing, and Eric picked out a lineup for the creators. And so we've been doing that. We are skipping the month of February because we're talking about the Kickstarter now.
Right.
But we'll pick that back up in March, and we'll focus on a different creator each month, and we'll do that through July, and then we'll skip August when we do the Kickstarter, and then back up to that, and we just celebrate the work of the different creators that way too, because we really appreciate them and what they do, and we
Very
think
much
the
so.
fans will appreciate seeing that. Even if they haven't got our comic, they'll get to see what we're doing.
Yep. I can be found on Facebook as well under my own name, but I also have dedicated pages for Tyrannus the Thunderlord, and then I have a dedicated page for Steel Wolf, my other character. And you can also find me on Threads and Blue Sky and Instagram, all under the same name, Steel Wolf Official.
Got it.
That's me across the board.
Perfect. So. And Rik, I had the comment that you made where having the consistent artist as a reader, I really appreciate having the consistent artwork through multiple issues, where sometimes in Marvel or even DC or Image, it's a different artist either every issue or every couple issues. And sometimes it's such a drastic shift in terms of the artist that it can not necessarily ruins the story, but it can take the story in a different unexpected tangent, or the readers just don't respond to it in the same way. So I think that's really great that you guys have a continued relationship with the artists.
Preach, brother.
Well, we have had artists do other books too, but I mean, we're trying the best we can. Gilbert Monsanto is our art director, and he did the first stories for each of my characters. So he did the first issue of Simon and Kirby the Agent, and then Alan came in and did a few issues, and then Gilbert came back, and he's still doing it. We're on issue 13. We've had 2 arts. Sergeant Flag, he did the launch for that. He did the first 4 issues, and then Enrique started with the Tomorrow Girl crossover, and then all of the books he's done have been crossovers with someone, and so he's been on the books since that. And we're up to number 7 now. We're working on number 8, so we're trying to keep the same people on it. And Milton, who was on Links to start with and did the first few issues, he had left. He had they're freelancers. They may get a better job. We don't make $1 million. We don't pay $1 million because we don't make $1 million. We pay what we get. And so he left us for a little bit, and Alan moved over from Agent Kirby to Lynx when Milton left. And then we had Fernando come in, and he was doing the first issue of First Guard, and he did a fill-in issue for Lynx. And now Milton's back. And as far as I know, Milton will be there for the foreseeable future. As long as he doesn't want to leave, he's there forever. As long as Gilbert wants to stay on Agent Kirby, he's there forever. As long as Enrique wants to be on, and it's Enrique and Tio, because Tio's doing the inks. He's going to be there forever as well on that. We usually do an anthology book, and so we've got a rotating cast of creators for that. I'm trying to stabilize that too. We got Bobby Ragland, who's almost always contributing something to us in a short story. And then we got a rotating cast that go with him. We've got Josh Hawley, who's done a lot of stuff with us in a variety of styles. And he is coming on to do more with us. We also do comics for other people. We have done that. We got together with Spooky Ninja Kitty Comics, and we did 2 comics for 2 different restaurants in Las Vegas.
Nice.
Both of them were, worked out by Spooky Ninja Kitty. So we did a comic dedicated to the Golden Tiki Bar. And Ron Williams did the art next to, or not next to, but very close to the Tiki Bar. So he could actually go in the Tiki Bar and see it while we were doing the comic for them. And then Evil Knievel has a pizzeria in Las Vegas called Evil High. And we did a bicentennial themed comic there because Evil Knievel has that whole bicentennial theme, all the red, white, and blue and all of that. Then there was a movie company doing a cartoon with bunnies, Deuce and his friends. And so we made the official adaptation, and we did that in both English and in Spanish. And Josh did the art on that one. And so we've been, we try and keep our foot in everything, and we try and help other people out as much as we can with these things. And we try and, just have fun and keep everyone working and keep the comics flowing.
That's right.
Yep.
And-
I was really the artists who did the first issue of First Guard for me, and then the artist who did the first issue of Tyrannus, each of them moved on. But I've been so lucky to get the creative teams that I have now. Indie mainstay artist Luis Rivera, whose work is gorgeous, is doing the work of his career, I would say. Of course, I'm biased, on Tyrannus. Just absolutely gorgeous pages. And Ron Williams, who's known for a lot of work on Big Bang Comics and things like that. He's doing the art on the First Guard. So I'm really couldn't be happier with the art teams on my books.
So essentially, make friends with your artists.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't think it's really a matter of friendship. I think that, we do a Kickstarter that we do, and it's as successful as it is for as many books as we publish. And so someone can come along and say, would you like to make twice as much money? And they may say, well, yeah. And so then they're out for 6 months, so they're out for a year.
Mm-hmm.
But we keep making comics. So we're there to come back to. You know what I mean? And we are real happy with the people we work with, and we're happy with the relationships we have with them. And our artists love the characters too. And that's one of the things that makes it so much fun to work with them, is that in some cases they'll draw things we weren't expecting. In some cases it'll be better than what we expected. And we're just along for the ride. We put together a script, and then when they bring it to life, sometimes that life is so much more than we ever expected. It's just so much fun to be in with this collaborative process, and so many surprises too. I mean, it's not just the G-Man comic creators in Agent Kirby. It's also, he drew his whole family on the last page. He put that up online. It's on Facebook. But he also sprinkled in some indie creators too. Some of our friends are in the back with us who don't really have anything to do with that particular comic, but they're just in the panel because, Gilbert thought that would be cool, and I do too. We're all just trying to have some fun, have a good time, make some comics, and hopefully the people who buy our comics think they're as much fun as we do, and when they're reading them, they have as much fun as we do when we're making them.
Absolutely. So I do have one last question for both of you before we head out. Kind of an oddball one, but do you have a favorite snack or a meal as a go-to when you need to sit down for a couple hours and work on some projects?
Well, I mean, for a meal, I like chicken and rice a lot. You can do it Mexican style. You can do it Chinese style. I had chicken and rice for dinner tonight just before I got on here. And tomorrow we're going to get Mediterranean, which will also be chicken and rice. It's nice, it's clean, it's decent for you. I try not to snack too much. Some fresh fruits and vegetables, but I try and avoid. I've had enough candy in my lifetime that I should probably not have any more ever again. But I'm trying to be I'm trying to eat healthy and take care of myself, and
I try not to snack too awful much, but I do have a weakness for cookies.
Ooh, any particular type?
I like golden double stuffed Oreos, or
Yum.
just store-bought chocolate chip cookies, like from the bakery. You know,
There we go.
yeah. Or the cookies my wife makes. My wife makes amazing cookies. So
Even better.
Yeah, homemade is the best.
it always,
That's right.
always.
Hot out of the oven.
All right, gentlemen, that brings us to the end of our Ink and Insight conversation today. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your schedules to join us. Would love to have you back on for the August Kickstarter. So for everyone out there, thank you so much for joining us. Rik and Eric, hope to see you soon, and we'll take care, and thank you for joining us.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.